Tucker Carlson was driving down a quiet road late one evening when he spotted a woman standing alone by the side of the highway. Her car was stalled, hazards blinking, and she looked uneasy. He could have kept driving, he could have ignored it, but something told him to stop. He rolled down his window. "Need some help?" he asked. The woman hesitated, eyes darting to the road behind her as if she were being followed. Then she nodded. That night, Tucker had no idea that this simple act of kindness would come back to haunt him. 2 years later, the truth about who she really was would shake him to his core. Tucker Carlson wasn't the type to pick up strangers. He was well aware of the dangers, especially in today's world. But something about the woman standing alone on that dark stretch of road unsettled him. She looked nervous, maybe even scared, and the way she kept glancing over her shoulder made it seem like she wasn't just dealing with car trouble, she was running from something. "What happened?" Tucker asked, as she climbed into the passenger seat. "Car broke down," she mumbled, barely making eye contact. Her clothes were damp from the misty night air, her blonde hair tangled. She looked like someone who'd been through something. But she didn't offer any more details, and Tucker didn't press her. Instead, he drove, listening as she gave him short, vague directions toward a town about 30 miles away. During the drive, she barely spoke. She gave a name, Mia, no last name, no backstory, just Mia, and that should have been a red flag. Tucker kept driving, glancing at Mia every so often. She was quiet, too quiet. Most people in her situation would make small talk, maybe even thank him. But she just stared out the window, fingers tapping anxiously on her lap. "So, you from around here?" Tucker asked, trying to break the silence. "Not really," she said. "No details, no explanation, just those two words." The GPS showed another 20 miles to the town she'd mentioned. The road was empty, the night stretching out in front of them like a black tunnel. Tucker had always trusted his gut, and right now something felt off. But what could he do? Kick her out in the middle of nowhere? Then something happened that sent a chill down his spine. Mia suddenly turned and asked, "Can you speed up?" Her voice was different now, urgent, almost panicked. She was looking at the side mirror, eyes wide. Tucker followed her gaze. A pair of headlights appeared in the distance behind them. At first, it seemed normal, just another car on the road. But then, the headlights didn't change. They weren't passing, weren't slowing down. They were locked onto them, gaining speed. "Are they following you?" Tucker asked, his grip tightening on the wheel. Mia swallowed hard. "Just drive, please." At this point, Tucker knew he had walked into something much bigger than a simple hitchhiker situation, but it was too late to turn back now. Tucker pressed his foot on the gas. The car behind them did the same. It was official. Whoever was in that vehicle wasn't just another driver on the road. They were after Mia. "Who is that?" Tucker demanded, his voice sharper now. Mia was breathing fast. I can't explain right now. Just don't stop." The headlights behind them grew brighter, inching closer. Tucker's heart pounded. He had been in intense situations before, heated debates, confrontations, but this was different. This was real danger. "Mia, if I'm putting myself in danger, I deserve to know what's going on," he snapped. Finally, she blurted it out. "I escaped." Tucker frowned. Escaped from what? Mia hesitated, as if saying the words out loud would make them real. Then she whispered, "A man took me, 2 years ago." Tucker's stomach dropped. He gripped the wheel tighter, trying to process what she had just said. "Are you saying you were kidnapped?" She nodded, eyes wet with tears. "I finally got away tonight. I didn't think he'd find me this fast." Tucker stole another glance at the car behind them. The driver wasn't just following anymore. They were trying to get closer, swerving aggressively. Whoever was behind the wheel wasn't planning to let Mia go. "Do you have a phone?" Tucker asked. Mia shook her head. "I left everything behind." Tucker reached for his own phone, quickly unlocking it. "We're calling the police." But just as he was about to dial, the car behind them made its move. It swerved to the side, trying to overtake them. Then, without warning, bam, the car slammed into their bumper. Tucker fought to keep control of the wheel, as Mia let out a scream. His tires screeched against the pavement as the car fish-tailed for a moment, before steadying. The driver behind them wasn't playing games. They were trying to run them off the road. "Hold on," Tucker shouted. He pressed the gas harder, but the road ahead was winding. One wrong move, and they'd be the ones crashing. The car behind them came in for another hit. This time, even harder. Mia was crying now. "He won't stop. He'll kill us." Tucker knew they needed help. Fast. But just when it seemed like they had nowhere to turn, he spotted something ahead. Headlights, flashing red and blue. A police checkpoint. For the first time that night, Tucker felt a flicker of hope. He sped toward the flashing lights, honking his horn wildly. The car behind them suddenly slammed on its brakes, turning sharply onto a side road before disappearing into the night. Tucker and Mia skidded to a stop at the checkpoint, breathing heavily. The officers approached, confused at first, but when Mia stepped out, shaking and tear-streaked, she uttered 3 words that changed everything. "He found me." The police were quick to act. Mia was escorted away from the car, and within minutes, she was sitting in the back of a squad car, still trembling. Tucker stood by, trying to process what had just happened. His mind was racing. What had he just gotten himself into? One of the officers, a grizzled veteran, approached Tucker. "You did the right thing by stopping, but we need to ask you some questions." Tucker nodded, his heart still racing. "I don't know what I just witnessed. She told me she was kidnapped 2 years ago, she says." The officer raised an eyebrow. "Kidnapped? Is that what she—" Tucker's stomach twisted. "Yeah, that's what she said." But as the officer spoke with Mia, things started to feel off. The more she spoke, the more it didn't add up. Her story was shaky, fragmented, full of holes. Then, a shocking detail came to light. The officer came back to Tucker, his face hard. "You're not gonna believe this, but that woman's name isn't Mia." Tucker stared at him, confused. "What do you mean?" "She told me her name was Mia. Her real name is Jenna Wallace, and she's wanted for questioning in a string of disappearances." Tucker froze. "What?" "Jenna Wallace is a known fugitive, connected to multiple missing persons cases across several states. She's been on the run for 2 years, using different aliases." Tucker could feel his world spin. Everything he thought he knew about that night was suddenly in question. Was Mia really a victim, or was she something far more sinister? The officer continued, "We're running her prints now, but I wouldn't be surprised if her story's full of lies. It's too clean, too rehearsed." Tucker's mind was reeling. He thought he had helped a woman in need, but now, he wasn't sure if he'd just put himself in the middle of something far darker than he could have ever imagined. He turned to look at the squad car where Jenna Mia sat, staring out the window, the faintest smile creeping onto her lips. And that's when he realized, she wasn't scared of being caught. She was playing a much bigger game. What was the truth? Was she the victim? Or was she the criminal mastermind behind a twisted web of lies? The officer turned and walked away, leaving Tucker with a chilling thought. You might want to watch your back. Jenna Wallace has a history of manipulating people into doing her bidding. And just like that, the mystery deepened. Who was Mia really? Was she part of something far more dangerous than Tucker had ever imagined? The questions lingered, unanswered, and Tucker couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much bigger story. And somewhere, out in the distance, a phone buzzed with a text message that read simply, "She's gone. Find her." Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.